going on, guys? For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Ty, and today in this video, we're going to be talking about Novocaine, the brand new action thriller comedy starring Jack Quaid. Is it actually good, or did it utterly disappoint me? That's what I want to talk about here today. But listen, first of all, Jack Quaid has been having a very busy year. Just in the first 3 months of the year, he had both Companion and this film released. And I've got to say, he's on quite the hot streak. I'm definitely a pretty big Jack Quaid fan. Of course, there's a couple of other people in this movie that we're going to be talking about in a second, but he's obviously the prominent star in this film. But just to give you guys the rundown of what this movie's about, maybe just some of my hype level. First of all, my personal excitement. I was relatively excited for it. I wasn't really thinking about it too much, honestly, but throughout this week, I was pretty excited to see it, so that's about it. When it comes to the premise, I've got to say it's definitely very unique. Basically, Jack Quaid's character cannot feel pain. He is mortal. He's a normal human being, but he has to take a lot of precautions in his everyday life. But then his girlfriend gets kidnapped by these robbers, and he has to go after her to try to save her. It's a very interesting scenario. It's kind of like a hostage. Again, action, romance. It's blending all these different genres together. But was it good? Let's just dive into that, honestly. So just to give you guys, kind of like a foundation here, I definitely really enjoyed this movie. I think that it's pretty much tied with Companion so far as my favorite movie of the year. It most likely won't actually stay that way, but still, Jack Quaid has been killing it so far this year. I've loved seeing him ever since he's been Huey in The Boys. That's pretty much my first exposure to him. Then, of course, with the Scream franchise. But let's just dive into things here. First of all, the unique concept allows for a lot of creativity in this movie. On the action side of things, there's just so many cool shots, the way the camera's rotating and stuff, and the creativity that actually comes behind the premise of the fact that he can't feel pain, because you need to balance certain things. First of all, he could use this to his advantage, of course, when he's fighting enemies, because when they're hitting him, it's not actually inflicting any damage on him technically, even though it can still kill him. But then, like I just said with killing him, on the opposite side of that, he has to be careful to make sure he doesn't die, because it's not like he's Wolverine or Deadpool or something. He can't just regenerate. He just can't feel the pain. But if you got shot in the head, he's dead. There's no doubt about that. So there's kind of like this weird line that he has to tread on, and I think I find it pretty interesting the way that over the course of the movie, he starts to sort of break out of his shell. I'm not getting into like spoilers or anything here, but towards the beginning of the film, he's definitely a lot more cautious with his everyday life, like extremely over-the-top cautious. And I thought they were actually pretty creative about that. It was very like thought out with the way that, his everyday routine would look different than ours, like a normal person that can feel pain, because there's a lot of things that you got to keep in mind. I really love the way that they utilize the R rating. This movie is definitely bloody, it's gory, and like I already mentioned before, it gets very creative with its kills, with all different injuries, the scenarios that Jack Quaid's character is put in while he's on this hunt to try to get his girlfriend back. When it comes to the structure of this film, I feel like that's one of its best elements, because it's about an hour and 50 minutes long. It doesn't really overstay its welcome necessarily. It doesn't feel too short. The first 20 or 25 minutes of this movie are basically just romance. Like, it's just going over Jack Quaid meeting his girlfriend, you're getting to know them, and that sets up the emotional stakes for the rest of the movie. Because if you're just having Jack Quaid beating up all these guys, but we don't really know him as a person, who his girlfriend really is, and their connection, of course, together, it won't feel as powerful. To make action actually feel emotional and powerful, you need to have some type of connection behind it, the motivation as to why he's doing all this. And they do such a great job. It's funny, it's charming at the beginning, and again, there's literally no action. We're just watching pretty much like a standard drama, romance, normal film. Then bang, something happens, the girlfriend gets kidnapped, like you could see in the trailer, and things just get crazy from there. The way that this film basically takes place in one day as well is just something really interesting. And his girlfriend, Amber Midthunder, who unfortunately I didn't get to see in the movie Prey, that I know that she led, she's great in this as well. I think that both of their performances, their chemistry is on point, because Jack Quaid, he always plays like sort of the same character in a way, but sometimes he plays it in an evil way, sometimes he plays it in a good way, but it's just a matter of balancing what he wants to be for this role. In this movie, he's more on the good side of being the quirky guy that's a bit naive, but can also kind of outsmart you if he wants to. I just think he plays that role so well. His comedic timing's awesome. His facial expressions, when he wants to go over the top and scream, I think he's so great, especially in this movie. And he's just a funny guy. I'm really looking forward to following his career over the next who knows how many years. And I understand that people are going to probably moan and whine and cry that he's a nepotism baby. It doesn't matter. He's legitimately a talented actor that deserves the roles that he's getting, because, man, he's just awesome. But listen, from there, I do have a couple complaints for sure, because while the story does flow pretty well, I've got to say, there are these interesting scenarios, but at times it can feel a bit rinse and repeat with what we're going through with the plot. There's some things that, feel a bit repetitive, and it's not the worst thing in the world because there are interesting scenarios, but it just kind of keeps going towards the end, and I'm kind of like, okay, let's wrap this up here. I think we've sort of, I don't want to say seen enough, but it's like, all right, we're almost slightly overstaying our welcome here. Another little side part that I really didn't like is that Jacob Batalon's in here, the actor that plays Ned in the MCU Spider-Man films. And I'm going to be completely honest, and I mean absolutely no disrespect to him as a person or anything. I just don't think he's that good of an actor. Like, I don't mean to sound like that, because in this film, he's kind of just playing Ned again. It's not like he's really doing anything different, and I can't really imagine him playing any other type of character, because that's just kind of who he is, and his performance is fine, but I feel like even though this movie's premise, of course, is a bit over the top, it's funny, it's crazy, it's still pretty cool to watch, honestly. Like, there's a lot of awesome set, pieces and sequences that are going on here, but I feel like his performance and his character is just kind of corny, and it makes the film feel corny a little bit whenever he's in it, whenever he's playing off of Jack Quaid. Even though I did like his character, and again, no disrespect to him, I just feel like he's not really the greatest actor. I mean, I hope that hopefully he gets the role that'll sell me one day, but it's kind of like he's just playing Ned again, and I think his Ned is fine, I guess. And from there, I do have one more thing I want to talk about that's sort of a pro and a con at the same time. About a third of the way into this movie, there's a twist that I was not expecting, and I don't even think they showed it in the trailers, unless I'm wrong, because I was already sold on the trailers from like months ago. I haven't really rewatched them, but there's a twist, and I'm like, whoa, this completely recontextualizes the entire conquest that Jack Quaid's character is on, basically. It completely changes the perspective that we have on his mission, and I think it's awesome the way that they withheld that information from you. But the way that that information later on in the movie, and again, I'm trying not to spoil anything, but the way that that information almost doesn't really matter, and there's no consequences for it, does feel a bit annoying, and it's like, I don't know if some characters should really be getting away with something that they did so easily, even though they kind of wronged someone. But either way, I think it's a pretty cool twist, and I really did enjoy that element. And one last thing that I do want to mention without spoiling is that towards the end of the film, there is sort of this role reversal that I really enjoyed, and I thought it was a pretty cool play on basically what this entire movie has been up to, the final part of the third act. And at the end of the day, what is my rating of Novocaine? I'm going to give this film a super solid 3.5 out of 5. I think it's a really enjoyable action, comedy, mystery, romance film. I love movies that just blend so many genres together. It's slick, it's sleek, it's shot very well. It's honestly pretty nice looking. The color grading, the color palettes, it's a pretty well-made film overall. And I've got to say, it's a really enjoyable time at the movies, and it's something new for once. It's not just your typical action film, because the way that they use this guy that does not feel pain, I feel like it's just so intriguing, and you're going to be dying to see what happens next throughout every single scene in this movie. But that's going to just about do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.